Welcome to Around the Ozarks, a public affairs program brought to you by your local Midwest Family Broadcasting station. Here's your host, Scott Meyer.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Around the Ozarks. My name is Scott Meyer. I'm the general manager here at Midwest Family Broadcasting Group of radio stations. And I promised you last week that we were going to have a very special guest, and I say special because this time of the year, this gentleman's very busy. I really am looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better, and I hope in the next half hour you all have a chance to get to know him a little bit better as well. My guest this morning is Clifton Smart, or Clif Smart, who is the current president of Missouri State University. Clif, good morning.
Good morning, Scott. You know, you said current president. Is there something out there I don't know?
Well, in doing a little research, Cliff, and that's a great question. I saw that you have an 8-year contract, and you're about 5 years into that. And as contracts go, until there's a renewal, I guess current. we all are in the contract world, and like I say, until somebody says otherwise, I guess it would be current.
Yeah, just finished 5 years at Missouri State as the president, and the board's extended that now, and so I'm committed for another 6 years.
Oh,
to
you
them.
are?
And,
okay, congratulations.
Yeah, very excited to continue the association. It's things are going well. It's a good place. Good
things. You
things.
started out here, Cliff, it looks like in 2011, and a lot's occurred just in the world since 2011. Right. How have things changed from your first day on campus, at least to today?
You know, I would say things were rocking along pretty well the first 4 years, and we were in a growth mode. Morale was improving. We were improving facilities. We were improving the quality of our programs and adding programs. And, you know, last year was a different year with, really the events at Ferguson and the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement and all of the unrest at the University of Missouri that kind of filtered down to us and to universities across the country. And, really for the first time had to deal with racial issues on our campus. Almost every university is dealing with that now. And, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that I was going to be spending an enormous part of my time for about 3 months working on racial issues, I would have said you're crazy.
When you say racial issues, I understand when you're talking about campuses like Mizzou or even where I came from up in the great state of Michigan, things that go on at Ann Arbor or Michigan State. But a campus like Missouri State, we're kind of tucked away in the corner of the state. In the 6 months I've been in town, it looks to be a pretty diverse student body. Are there issues, or is it more a preparation before there are issues, if they're going to be issues?
Yeah, great. I think you've hit on that, Scott. We have some issues. We've got about 2,800 students of color on our campus. Some of them struggle with acceptance issues, and I just think in the society that we live in now, people are more cognizant of differences, and sometimes it seems like we're divided into camps politically and on a whole range of things, and that spills over into campus. And you've got a bunch of 18 to 25-year-old kids that are becoming adults and are excited and want to change the world and want to engage. So we've seen some protests, but everything has been appropriate. Everything has been within the bounds. We haven't had any kind of ugly incident on campus as have existed other places. But there clearly are different perceptions among different groups of students as to whether they're completely accepted. And it's not just African American students. There's a whole range of making sure that our disabled students can engage, and our very conservative students sometimes feel left out. And so our veteran students, our non-traditional students, we're bringing together 23+ thousand people from all different backgrounds, from literally all over the world, and trying to fit them together. And sometimes there's a little, push or angst when that happens. But by and large, we've been able to navigate the waters reasonably well.
My guest this morning on Around the Ozarks is Clif Smart, who is the president, an extended president of MSU. Clif, one of the articles that I had come about reading here a couple of weeks ago had to do with, I guess it must have been the extension of your deal. I didn't read that part of it. Sorry about that. But it talked about how your current pay structure was adjusted by the board. And It looks like they had given you an additional $25,000 a year raise, and we all like to see those kinds of things. But you turned yours back to the university for them to put where and why?
I'm paid very well at the university, and we had been able, because of enrollment growth, because of good funding from the state this year, we'd been able to give all of our employees a 2% raise and then done a handful of merit raises on top of that. And I'm the second highest paid employee at the university behind our basketball coach, men's basketball coach. And the university wanted, or our board wanted to essentially tell me, good job, good 5 years, we're going the right direction. And so they wanted to give me a bigger raise than that. And so, didn't really feel comfortable taking an 8% raise when I'm already one of the highest paid employees, when everyone else was getting a 2% raise. And so talked to my wife, and Gail and I wrote a check for $25,000 to the foundation to begin the Clif and Gail Smart Endowed Scholarship. And it will begin a year from now. The scholarship will be for first-generation students to help them meet those extra costs and pay tuition and pay fees and, hopefully reduce the amount of debt that they have and be available to help them get through. Sometimes, particularly first-generation students, which just means their parents haven't gone to college, either of them, have more challenges getting through. They don't have someone who knows the ropes to help them through. When my kids had trouble in college, well, I could help them. I know how everything works. And if they needed a little extra money, can supply that and can get things through. And sometimes first-generation students don't have parents that are even supportive of them going to college, much less can help them financially. And so this will be a focus of the foundation in the next year or so, is trying to raise particularly scholarship funds for first-generation students. And so we wanted to get out in front of that.
Cliff, one of the things that I think makes you different, certainly from some of the other college presidents that I've met, and I've met quite a few, is your background is in the private sector. You had a private law practice. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about who Clif Smart is? Where are you from?
Grew up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. My dad passed away this week. My dad was a faculty member at the University of Arkansas, was an architecture professor, became dean of the school down there. And so, have a little history of family connection to the university. But I went away to school, Tulane University, went home to Fayetteville, got a law degree, did 4 years in the Army, and then began practicing law and came to Springfield in 1992 to practice with Tom Strong, who's a great lawyer here in town. And several of my friends from the University of Arkansas Law School had already been here. And so did that for 15 years and enjoyed it. But the practice of law, particularly litigation that I did, can wear you out. And so I was looking to slow down a little bit and became general counsel at Missouri State University, or their in-house lawyer, and really thought that was going to be my last job. And, through a series of interesting events, the university had just hired a new president and turned out not to be a good fit. I think he told me later he knew that 30 days after being here. And within that first year, he left, and our provost had gone back to faculty. And so we're in a situation where we didn't have a president. We didn't have the number 2 person, typically, the chief academic officer. Both those positions were open. And I had been involved on behalf of the board in negotiating the president's departure. He signed that agreement on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and I gave it over to our board chair at 4 o'clock and essentially said, I'm done, heading home, been a long week. And she said, well, there's one more thing I want to talk to you about. We'd like you to be interim president. And I kind of laughed and said, no, I'm not the guy for that job, and suggested someone else. And that didn't work, and they were back to me the next morning, and our team encouraged me to do it as someone who could hold the group together and keep things going. And I thought I'd be interim president 8-10 months and then go back to my position. And we had a great year, and I really enjoyed the job and thought I was capable of doing it. And the board encouraged me to apply for it, and so here we are. 5 years later,
it is what it is.
It is.
That's great. You mentioned at a time you're younger. Were you 50, 55, 56?
55.
55. Yet you spent 4 years in the Army. after school. Didn't have to. There wasn't a war at that time.
Well, I had. That's how I paid for Tulane University. It was expensive, and my parents were teachers, and so for me to go to that school, I had a scholarship from the U.S. Army, a 4-year scholarship that paid for that, and so my payback was 4 years in the Army for that. But it was a great experience. I got to be in the JAG Corps. I tried cases, court-martials, and really was able to do good work and hone my skills and enjoyed being in the Army. And it really started me off on my practice as a trial lawyer. And so we were in Fort Knox for 4 years, and I look back finally on that time. It was a good
Kept
experience.
an eye on all the gold, huh? Fort Knox?
Yeah, if it's really there, right?
My guest this morning is University President at Missouri State University, Clif Smart. My name is Scott Meyer. This is Midwest Family Broadcasting's Around the Ozarks, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Grab your tutus and tiaras. The Diva Dash 5K and Little Princess Girls Run is returning to Nixa on August 27th at 8 a.m. in Macaulay Park. This fun, family-oriented 5K benefits the Child Advocacy Center, an organization that provides young victims of abuse with a safe place to share their stories. To find out more about the Diva Dash 5K and Little Princess Girls Run, visit diva-5k.com.
Kick the dust off your boots and grab your hat as the American Cancer Society presents Stetsons and Stilettos. The 8th Annual Kettle Barons Ball, August 27. Get ready for a new look and new surprises because this year it's at an all-new venue, the E-Plex at the Fairgrounds. Enjoy live and silent auctions, an elegant dinner, libations, and dancing. Plus, live entertainment by the Old Southern Moonshine Revival. Proceeds benefit the American Cancer Society. Stetsons and Stilettos. The 8th Annual Kettle Barons Ball, August 27 at the E-Plex. Call 447-1483 for info.
Welcome back to the second part of this morning's Around the Ozarks. My name is Scott Meyer with Midwest Family Broadcasting, and my special guest this morning is Missouri State University President Clif Smart. And Clif, you mentioned somebody that sounds rather important in your life, and I'm wondering if you met her at Tulane. Gail, your wife Gail?
No, I met her in Fayetteville. She's got 2 degrees from the University of Arkansas, including a law degree, and so we were going to law school together and met in law school. And on Tuesday of next week, we will celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. What's it like having 2 lawyers in the house at the same time?
When we were both practicing, we really never talked law very much. And after several years, Gail decided to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom and spend time with our kids, and has become a full-time volunteer. And so there was a period of time then when she was not practicing that we did talk about different cases that I was working on because she was interested in that, had a background in that. And now neither of us claim to be a lawyer. We're on a different track now.
Now, we touched a little bit about this earlier this morning, the fact that you had your own, or at least shared, private legal practice, and now you're part of a huge public institution. Why don't you talk a little bit about the difference of managing your business and managing this business?
Yeah, night and day. I think people either have management and leadership skills or they don't. So a lot of it is transferable, but it is very different. When 4 of us owned a law practice, we could essentially go in somebody's office and make a decision on hiring someone or what kind of cases we were going to do or whether we were going to, expand our building or whatever. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way when you have 3,400 employees and their divisions, and we're in a shared governance organization as well, where we've got 740 faculty members that control the curriculum as a body. I don't control the curriculum; our faculty does that, and everyone has the academic freedom to teach their courses the way they want to. And in a university setting, it's leading by example. It's interacting with people to develop a shared vision that everyone wants to work through. It's not like you're the CEO of IBM directing people on what to do. That's not how universities work. And I think that's why sometimes people coming from the private sector to be a university president, about a quarter of our university presidents in America come from the private sector. Sometimes they struggle because it doesn't work the same way a big corporation does.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I learned from knowing a couple of other university presidents is, from the outside looking in, it's easy to say some are so overpaid. I mean, there's Mary Lou Simon, I think, at University of Michigan. Her compensation was well over close to $1 million a year. But what people and what I've learned over time is what people don't know, many people don't know, because presidents like yourself don't make a big deal out of it, is how much fundraising you do and how much money that you're there to try to attract to the endowment. Can you speak to that a little bit?
There clearly are university presidents that make well over $1 million even in the public sector. I do think if you're in this business to make a big salary, it's not a good choice, because you really have to be in this business for the right reason, and that's to make a difference in the lives of our students, and that has to be the focus. I would tell you it's a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So, next week I'll start every day at 7 o'clock, and there are evening commitments every single day. And there are Saturday and Sunday, as we welcome back students to campus, is full every day and well into the evening. And there's lots of travel. There's lots of fundraising. There's advocacy in Jeff City and in Washington, D.C. A big part of a president's job these days is external. So we're building friendships with alums, and we're involved in our community, and we're advocating with state and federal government for funding, and we're raising private funds, and we're working on grant funding. Last year we set a record of bringing in grants and contracts of $25 million, and raised over $18 million of private money. And so that's $43 million of external money. That's almost real money. That's meaningful to us.
It's pretty real.
And so there is a lot of involvement in that. We're very much involved in the community here. The business incubator, the research park downtown, and as a part of Idea Commons is the hub of entrepreneurship in Springfield. Mm-hmm. We partner with the school districts on the Go Caps and a whole variety of programs. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce board, and so we're the fourth biggest employer in town, mm-hmm. and so lots of external work. And what that means is I have to have a really good team, beginning with our provost and on down, that can run the internal piece of the university, and I empower them to do that and support them when they run into trouble, and can be personally involved as I need to. But really, my job's an external job to win friends and money for the university by and large.
I have a good friend up north who graduated from Southwest Missouri State, which now has become Missouri State.
Sure.
What is the goal of MSU? What is it? We see today all these schools lining up and cheering about how much larger their campuses are getting, or all the new buildings that they're adding. But what is your goal? What do you see as the goal of Missouri State? What are we trying to lead to? Where's it trying to grow?
We want to serve our community as a metropolitan university, and we want to serve our state as best we can as a statewide institution. And so how do we do that? We graduate educated people that can be involved in their communities when they're out of here and be productive citizens and have great careers. And our state has a goal. We want to have 60% of our population, 25 to 60, that has a post-secondary credential. We need to graduate more people. A huge percentage of the new jobs in our state and in our country are going to require at least a bachelor's degree. We need to turn out more students. We need to grow for the good of our state and for the good of our economy. And we need to do a better job of getting our students through. We need to improve our graduation rates and our retention rates, particularly as the demographics change and more first generation and underrepresented students are a part of that mix. And that's really my focus. I think we will continue to add graduate programs. I think we will continue to grow our enrollment. We're expecting record enrollment this fall. We'll be above 23,000 students for the first time, and as a system, we'll be above 25,000 students for the first time. And so I envision that continuing. Really the growth areas are primarily in business, health, science, agriculture, because they're great careers in those fields, and so we want to produce graduates who can be successful in the world as well.
Let me ask a challenging question if I can. We hear today, and I was lucky, I grew up in a family where the constant banter with my brother and I and my parents was, you're going to go to college, you're going to go to college. Is college really for everybody?
It's not for everybody. I would tell you some kind of post-secondary training is for everybody. There are virtually no jobs that you can make any significant money in if all you have is a high school degree. Now, technical training is still a viable option to the middle class. There, you can be, manufacturing today is different than it was 40 years ago, and you can make good money. But to do that, you have to have some technical education through the community colleges, and there are all sorts of technical degrees that you can get. But if I'm talking to high school students, you've got to figure out your path, and that path is going to involve some training after high school. Otherwise, you're going to be making $8 an hour for a long time, maybe forever. And so you've got to figure out what that course is. I mean, our economy is not the same as it was 40 years ago, and there are not blue-collar jobs that you can just begin at age 20 and make $60,000 a year by the time you retire. Those days are gone. And so you've got to figure out a path that allows you to have a good career and a good life.
My guest this morning is MSU President Clif Smart. Clif, another question really deals with maybe a success story. You talked about yourself and putting yourself through school by going into the Army and taking advantage of that. I worked all the way through high school and college, 15 credit semesters, but full-time work at the same time to pay for it. I was able to graduate without any loans, but I made some sacrifices to do that.
Right.
You must interface with some of the kids on campus, I would think, on a pretty regular basis.
Absolutely.
Is there a good story about somebody in today's world that all we hear about is everything's too expensive and the kids can't make it and the world's unfair and so on and so forth? I mean, can you share a story about somebody that maybe broke through that showed you, they can still do it?
I just got a text from a student this week. He was our SGA president several years ago. He had studied and worked at the Jordan Valley Innovation Center as an assistant to one of our faculty who was doing research, and he'd gone on to work in California, got an incredible job, gone back to school, and he's just been accepted into a doctoral program at the University of Oxford in England, which top line kind of doing incredible research. And so, I interact with students every day, and I would tell you 99% of our kids, and this is not an exaggeration, are working hard. They want to do well. They want to be good citizens. They want to be involved in their community, and they're doing great things. There are obviously a handful that are not in that category. But, before I became president, I really wasn't aware of that. In my general counsel role, I wouldn't have much interaction with students, and the students I would interact with were the ones that had been involved in misconduct and were on the way out.
Sure.
But once you really interact with our student body, it's very encouraging. This idea that the good days in America are gone and we're spiraling down into the dumper. If you interact with college students, at least our college students, you would not have that view.
Sports on campus are always a focal point or a focus. And being a significantly big college football and basketball fan that I am, I can't wait for this fall and our opportunity to spend some time with both MSU football and basketball, even men's and women's. We are looking to have Steck here.
Good.
Hopefully to talk to our salespeople. I think it'd be fun to hear from a coach. But the programs have had some struggles in the recent, what appears to be the most recent past. Can you touch on that a little bit?
So the two sports that we have 17 sports on campus. The two sports that have struggled the last several years are the two biggest sports. They're football and men's basketball. Our baseball team has had a great run. Last year before last, we were in the NCAA tournament, hosted a regional, went to the super regionals in baseball. Our volleyball team and women's basketball team were in the NCAA tournaments last year. And so, by and large, the sports programs across the board are good, but everybody cares about by and large, in Springfield, football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. Women's basketball is doing fine. The other two are struggling. And so I do think our men's basketball team is going to take a step up. They just took a tour to the Bahamas, played 3 games. I hear great things both about ability and camaraderie and spirit on that team. We have some good players and new players and good players back. We think that's going to be a good program this year. We think we're going to be competitive and in the top half of the league. We're so convinced of that, we've offered a money-back guarantee. If you don't have season tickets and you buy them and you come to the first 10 games and you don't like what you see, we'll give you your money back. That's
Really?
how convinced we are that our men's basketball team is going to be successful and fun to watch. Football, so we're in the Steck era, year 2.
Yeah, I heard it's not Coach Steck, it's Steck.
It's just Steck, S-T-E-C, just Steck. I think he would tell you that we're going to be better. We're stronger and faster and have more players. But if you look at our depth chart, you're going to see that most of our starters are redshirt sophomores, redshirt freshmen. And in our league, where literally everyone is in the top 25 practically, there are no easy games, it's going to take several years for us to build up and be competitive. So I think we'll be more competitive this year. I think last year we hit bottom and we're working our way up. Are we going to be where we want to be? Probably not this year. May take 4 years of recruiting solid classes. We've got 2 good classes that Steck brought in, and Terry Allen's last class was a good class. But you'll see, I think we probably have 2 seniors that are starters this year and maybe 2 juniors, 3 maybe. And so you just got to keep getting stronger and faster and adding talent to that. First game is a Thursday night game on September 1st. It will be fun. Bearfest Village is a blast. And again, I would just encourage people to come out and look at the product. And you'll see that we've improved from last year. And, maybe we'll have improved more than I'm letting on. I hope so. But
it sounds like
you'll have to ask
Steck.
Steck.
On the right plane.
Yeah,
he's got him on the right
here.
plane.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap up. I've asked all the questions. I see you brought some notes. Was there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to throw out there before we finish up this morning?
One of the things that is often talked about, you referenced it earlier, is the cost of going to college. And it is a significant problem, in part because states have cut their support for universities, and so tuition has had to go up. And I checked some numbers before I came today. Across the board, public universities in the last 7 years have gone up by 38%. So inflation in that period of time is about 11%, so more than 3 times inflation. I want to tell your listeners that at Missouri State we're doing better than that. Our tuition has gone up 9.2% in the last 7 years. That's less than inflation.
In total?
In total.
That's amazing.
It is less expensive to go to Missouri State this year than it was 7 years ago when you factor in inflation. We're very proud of that. Our students are working class and middle class students. Many of them work, just like you did, Scott, to go to college. It's very important that we work to keep college affordable because that's the path that changes families' lives. Education cannot just be for the affluent, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of holding that cost down.
Well, President Smart, congratulations on what's been a great run so far, and now an extended run going forward. You're a young man; you've got a lot of good opportunity in front of you, and let's hope that the football season's a little better than people might think it could be. And I've heard only great things about this basketball team, both men's and women's, and I'm looking forward to that. And it appears there's a lot of good things going on this fall at MSU.
It's a good place to be, and I look forward to being there a lot more years. As I tell folks, this is my last job, and as long as it's good, I'm going to be here. I'm committed to the university, and I just think it is doing tremendous things and will do even more tremendous things as we move ahead.
Excellent. Our guest this morning has been University President Clif Smart from Missouri State University. I'm Scott Meyer. To hear a replay of this morning's show, be sure to check out mwfmarketing.fm. Have a great Sunday morning.
Thank you for joining us for Around the Ozarks, a public affairs program brought to you by your local Midwest Family Broadcasting Station. Listen again next Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Find this and all other segments of Around the Ozarks at mwfmarketing.fm.
If you're looking for a night of fun and laughter, then join us for the Not So Newlywed Game supporting the Betty and Bobby Allison Ozarks Counseling Center. The fun begins at 6 p.m. on August 12th with heavy appetizers and silent auction. Then things really heat up with some of the area's top couples as we find out who's been paying attention all these years. Call us at 869-9011 or go online to ozarkscounselingcenter.org to reserve your seats today for only $75 each. You won't want to miss it.